Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I'll be taking a look at oral skills, which includes speaking and listening. So how do students develop their oral skills? Well, we as teachers, we want them to speak more. We want them to listen to more inputs. And yes, oral skills include listening. We want to give them the option of meaningful inputs. And I refer here to Paul Nation, the famous linguist, which conclude in his works and his research that meaningful input is something that the students really need to develop. We need to cater to the students' needs and to give them the option of choosing the input that makes sense for them, so they can choose what kind of audiobooks and what kind of podcasts, for example, that cater to their interests. And this really helps them to grow in oral skills, which include listening. So English is everywhere. So daily life, students are bombarded with spoken English outside school every single day. They watch movies, TV series on Netflix, they watch YouTube clip, they are on the internet surfing, they are on their smartphones every day, gaming, etc. But this does not mean that the students have excellent oral skills. So what's the job of the teacher? To develop students' language skills or oral skills and their ability to use a variety of language forms suitable for different contexts and situation. Basically, can they use English in daily life? Can they actually use it in the real world? So here we have the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages developed by the Council of Europe, and this framework has been highly influential in the making of the English curricula in Norway and many other countries. So it gives us scales for describing proficiency. So speaking skills or oral skills, they're the same. They have divided it into 6 levels, so from A1 to C2. So they have divided it into 5 main scales or components for speaking skills, how to assess the student and how well they are doing in their oral skills. So first of all, we want to assess their range, their vocabulary. Second of all, we want to look at the accuracy. Is their grammatical structure and their proficiency? How is their grammar doing? Fluency. Can they express and pronounce words properly? Can they express words and sentences quickly and in a coherent way that is clearly understood by the listener? Interaction. Do they have good communicative skills? Can they communicate well? Are they able to make themselves understood properly? And fifth, coherence. Do they have systematic and good connection of words? So good speaking skills require good communicative competence. So first of all, grammatical competence, which is the vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. But then we have a socio-linguistic competence that is, depending on the context, appropriate to social context. For example, Norwegian asking for directions in the UK has to use some polite words. Please, sir, excuse me, could you tell me? So you kind of change the way you speak and you use more polite words like please and excuse me and thank you because it's relevant to the context. And then we have pragmatic competence, which is basically, can you use the language effectively? And in this framework, it's really strong focus on what learners can do with language in real life situations, which is really good. So the Norwegian framework for basic skills, or in Norwegian we would say grunnleggende ferdigheter, oral skills are included in the basic skills. So oral skills include listening, spoken production, and spoken interaction. So oral skills are a prerequisite for lifelong learning and for active participation in working life and in society in a reflective and critical way. So oral skills, as I've said many times, includes both speaking and listening. So the English subject curricula in Norway focuses on the communicative use of English in a variety of situations. So can you communicate well in different situations? Do you have good communicative skills in real life situations, not just in school when you take tests and when you have presentations? Can you actually get by and use English in the real world? So oral skills in English means being able to listen, speak, and interact using the English language. So it means evaluating and adopting ways of expression to the purpose of the conversation, the recipient, and the situation. So you need to be willing to adapt the way you speak, depending on whom do you speak to, and in what context. So how do you teach oral skills in the classroom? Well, there are countless of ways to do this, but I will refer here to John Hattie and what he found. One area that has a positive effect is when errors and trust are welcomed as opportunities to learn, which has an effect size of 0.78 in John Hattie's meta-analysis and studies which he did when he was studying what actually works in the classroom. So we want to create a safe space where errors are welcomed. Yes, you heard me right. We need to welcome errors because we want the students to take initiative. We want them to speak. We want them to learn. We want them to be active. We don't want them to just sit there and take information. We want them to participate. And so this breaks the barrier, and students are encouraged to take initiative. So we want to create tasks suited to the proficiency levels of the learners, their interests, their learning style preferences, and their personalities. And of course, we need meaningful output. So we need to give the students some freedom in what they want to speak about in order for them to be more confident. So here we have John Hattie, we have his book Visible Learning, and here we have one of the top influences of learning in the classroom, and it's errors and trust are welcomed as opportunities to learn by students. So we need to convey to the students, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to take a chance. We just want you to speak English, we just want you to take initiative, that's all we want. And when you do that as a student, you can learn so much. And so how do you teach oral skills in the classroom? There are so many ways of doing it, but I just listed a few of them. So first of all, listening for specific information or language forms. So for example, English accents on YouTube. For example, the difference between English variations or accent. For example, difference between the American accent and the British accent. Or you can give them a real life context. You can set up a job interview. The one student is the employer, the other one is the one applying for a job. Or traveling abroad, meeting people from other countries, how would you speak to them in a different cultural context? Or you could be asking for directions in the UK, being very polite, how would you do that? Or you can teach them to take initiative when you as a teacher ask them questions in the class. So we need to teach them to take chances when answering. In a classroom situation, we need to convey to them that taking chances and even making errors is completely okay, and it's part of the learning process. And then we want them to teach them to improvise if they get stuck when speaking English. Sometimes they get stuck and they just mumble and oh, they don't know what to say. Well, tell them to relax and use other words instead. Or just rephrase the entire sentence. Say it in a different way. Just relax. Try again. Say it in a different way. Another idea is to incorporate a question of the day at the beginning of the lesson. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite animal? Really easy questions just to get them to warm up. Or you can have some fun games. Students finish each other's sentences. This one is really funny. It's a great way to warm up and let the students really have fun and speak English in class. So here are some sources and research that I used for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the future.